Welcome to the Four Bells, where we are doing workout from home number 88. In today's workout, we are focusing on vertical pressing today. It's in the form of two movements we haven't done a lot of in the gym for quite some time, and you get to play with at home. We are going to be looking in particular at handstand variants and handstand push-up variants today, if you can do them, and if you can't, that's fine, we have something else for you. So we are going to start off today to get ourselves nice and warmed up. We are going to start off with some shoulder dislocates for 10 reps. You can use a band or PVC pipe. From there, we are going to look at pike push-up variations. So this should be the precursor to the strength piece today, depending on how these go for you. If you find the pike push-up very doable, then cool. We're going to talk about the three options we have for you today in terms of what we'll be doing in the strength piece. And if you find the pike push-up way too tough for you, then we can also scale back to some kind of push-up variation of your choosing. Either way, we're going to be doing 5 to 10 reps. If you find them very challenging, 5 reps. Find them very easy, 10. That's how we'll be playing with warm-up today. From there, we'll be doing the scorpion, where we are looking at some spinal rotation, as well as a little bit of chest opening. We'll be doing 5 per side. So we'll be doing those 3 things 3 times. Let's take a look at it. Shoulder dislocates for 10 reps today, or dislocates, depending on how you like to pronounce it. We like to mix it up here. You can use band, probably the most forgiving tool to use for a shoulder dislocate. But if you have a broomstick, leather belt, jiu-jitsu belt, anything will work so long as it's long enough. I'm going to start with the hands at the end of my band. I pass over, touching the low back or the bum. And all I'm going to do is just see if we can test that shoulder range of motion. So if that's very easy, as we go through the sets and the reps, I should be trying to move my hands a little bit closer together, and I should be trying to test the pecs and the lats. Things should be a little bit snug and uncomfortable. Move even closer still. It should be a challenge, making sure that we don't bend the arms and look like we're trying to dry our back with a towel. That's what we're trying to avoid in shoulder dislocates. With pike push-up variations, we're going to look at 3 different scaling intensities. So the first one's going to be pretty easy, maybe, and then from there we're going to make it a little bit more difficult as we go. So before we even think about pike push-ups, of course, if you're trying these and they're just not working for you, feel free to regress to some kind of push-up variation, regular push-up, of course. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to be upside down, so the hood goes up. I'm going to be in a downward-facing dog position. And from here, the first progression is just forearms to the floor. So bring the forearms down, and then we press back up. Forearms down, we press back up. Next, as we come into variation number 2, I'm going to need a mat here just to protect the top of my head. So if I want to imagine when I'm doing my pike push-up, high from under the hood, I want to think there's 3 points of contact. Hands on the floor, they're the base of my triangle, and then the top of my head comes to the top of that triangle there. So I'm going to be back into my downward facing dog position. Now I shift the weight forwards, bending at the elbows, head touches the mat, and then from there we press back up. Shifting onto the toes, head down, and we press back up. If I'm trying to make these a bit more difficult, we're going to get into level 3, which means all I'm going to do now is walk my feet even closer. I come up as high as I can on the tiptoes, coming forwards, and then from there, we press back up. Tiptoes, come forwards, and then we press back up. Those are our 3 pike push-up variations.
The scorpion is lovely for spinal rotation, as well as opening up the pecs a little bit. With the scorpion, what do I need? I need maybe a mat underneath me, particularly if I don't like my ribs digging into the floor, or you can just do it straight on the floor. I'm going to lay down, bring my arms out to the side, and I'm going to bring my left foot and see how close I can get it to my right hand, and then I switcheroo, go to the other side. Right foot comes over to the left hand. And you're going to find that as you do this, notice there's a little bit of space here between my chest and the floor. I'm trying to stay as flat as I can, which of course is going to depend entirely on my spinal rotation. Either way, we're going to do 5 per side, 10 total in the old scorpion.
With today's strength piece, we are doing 5 sets. Each set is 3 minutes long, split into 2 90-second windows of time. With each 90-second piece, we are taking that 90 seconds, we karate chop it in half. We are doing 45 seconds of work in each of our 2 pieces. So in our first one, you get to choose. Do we want to do wall walks? Wall walks are a nice precursor to handstands. Basically, you don't need the technical skill of kicking up into a handstand. You can just walk up, do some work for the shoulders, as well as getting more comfortable with being upside down. We're going to see how many reps we can do in 45 seconds. If you decide that you love your walls at home too much and you don't want to go through the drywall or the plaster, depending on where you are in the world, we can do pike push-up variations. And of course, if pike push-ups don't work for you today after the warm-up, then we can do some kind of regular push-up variation. Either way, 45 seconds of work. We then rest 45 seconds before we come into our second piece where we are working for 45 seconds, and we are going to look at an antagonist pairing to all the work we are doing for the shoulders and the triceps, and we're going to be looking at bicep curls today. So of course, depending on what you have at home, we might be doing a lot of reps in 45 seconds, we might be doing a few reps in 45 seconds. Either way, it's 45 seconds of work on each of these guys. Let's take a look at how they look. The wall walk is a nice precursor to handstands, particularly if you're not comfortable with kicking up into a handstand. Generally, the more time you spent upside down when you were a kid is directly proportional to how comfortable you are in handstand positions. I spent close to 0 time in a handstand as a kid, so I find handstands are very challenging. When it comes to things like handstand push-up progressions, I find the wall walk and wall-facing handstand push-up progressions much nicer because they're easier and more comfortable for me to get into. So when we're doing wall walk progressions today, or wall walks, the idea is to start in a push-up position on the floor. From here, I'm going to reach up with the legs, and I've got to keep the arms straight and active, so it means I should be pressing into the floor. From here, I'm just trying to walk up. I'm trying to get myself as close to the wall as possible. From here, I hang out for a second, and then from there, without ruining my face, I come back down to the floor under control. We're going to see how many times that we can do ourselves a wall walk in 45 seconds. Bicep curls for 45 seconds. What I'm trying to think about is maybe do I have a post or a door frame or something that I can lean against? Ideally, a post or a door frame, because that allows my elbows to move around a little bit. If the wall's there, bang into the wall, not the end of the world. What am I going to use for bicep curls? Wherever you have. It might be a giant, intimidating dumbbell that I hold on the ends and I do crush bicep curls. It could be holding a kettlebell by the horns. The ball is down here, and you could use that. It could be a barbell. It could be a band. It could be matching intimidating dumbbells. Either way, we start with the hands down by the hips, full extension of the arms, palms up in line with the shoulders, and we are going to do smooth, controlled reps for 45 seconds, looking to get giant, sweet, delicious pipes. Today's conditioning piece is a 12-minute AMRAP, 720 seconds of fun. If you don't know by now, AMRAP stands for as many rounds or reps as possible. So in each of our rounds today, we have 4 exercises. So we're going to go through them in this order, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to see how many times we can go through it in 12 minutes. So when we start off, we're doing offset push-ups, which essentially means we're going to have one hand slightly staggered in front of the other. We're going to do that for 5 reps. Then we're going to switch it up and do that for 5 reps. From there, straight arm, straight leg sit up. We're doing that for 10 total reps. For there, single arm, dumbbell, side plank rotations. We're working on the lateral chain of the abs as well as some rotator cuff strength as we rotate with a reasonably light dumbbell. And then last but not least, the aerobic piece in our AMRAP today. So you've got choices. Do you have a rowing machine at home or a ski erg? You're going to do 200 meters. Maybe you've just got your airdyne bike, you're going to do 20 calories. Last but not least, if you just have your body weight available, we are going to do squat thrusts for 15 reps. How many times can we do this in 12 minutes? Let's find out, and let's take a look at those exercises. With the offset push-up, we're looking to have one hand in front of the other. So to use a nice visual cue, I'm going to use this band here, which means I'm going to have one hand set up just behind the band, one hand set up just in front of the band, feet in a fairly, usually I'll say wider than normal stance for the feet, because I know there's going to be a little bit of rotation. I'm going to keep the elbows still nice and tight. I'm going to perform 5 on one side, and once I've done my 5 on one side, I switch the hand position, get back onto the feet, and do 5 on the other side. You'll notice it's very easy to rotate in this position, and we're trying to resist that as much as possible. And of course, doing push-ups on the toes is hard for you, on the knees is perfectly fine. Calendar pose. When it comes to the straight arm, straight leg sit-up, we're doing 10 reps with the legs straight and with the arms straight. What does that mean? That means I lay down, legs straight, arms point up to the ceiling, and I'm reaching for the ceiling as I sit up. So I sit up fully, and then I come back down under control. Drive up, and come back down under control. If this is very easy for you, You can grab a weight, maybe even 2 dumbbells if you want an extra mobility challenge. Different calendar pose. When we get into the side plank rotation with a dumbbell, this is the same warm-up movement we did a couple of workouts ago, workout from home 86. So we're adding some weight to this now, which means we're thinking about rotator cuff health, we're thinking about ab lateral strength, which means we're doing a side plank, trying to stabilize the spine from the side. And also we're going to be doing some rotational work with the working arm, which means a little bit more work for the rear delts, maybe even the bicep. So we set up in our side plank. If you like to have the legs bent, that works well. If you like the legs staggered, that works well. If you want the feet on top of each other, that's great. Elbow directly below the shoulder. We bridge up, push this hip to the ceiling, grab my dumbbell, I look through, rotate up to the ceiling. Control down, rotate up to the ceiling. We are going to do 10 reps on one side, 10 reps on the other. What's it going to be? Is it going to be 200 meters? Maybe 400 meters on a bike? Maybe it's going to be 20 calories of some kind. If you don't have any machines available at home, of course you can always go out for a 200 meter run. What we need to think about today is if we don't have access to the outside, if we don't have access to machines, and squat thrusts are our friend today. The squat thrust, essentially the cousin to the burpee. There's no push up, there's no jump. So what we're going to do to do our squat thrust is quite simple. I do a squat, hands come down, this is where the thrust comes in. I come out into my plank, feet come back in, and I stand up. As simple as that. What we're trying to avoid when we do our squat thrust is hands down, feet out, and saggy hips. That's what we're trying to avoid, making sure we get the legs nice and straight, nice plank position. We jump back in. No jump, just standing up is perfectly fine. We're going to do squat thrust with 15 reps if you don't have a machine available. So for our 12-minute AMRAP today, we're doing offset push-ups, 5 and 5. From there, we're doing straight arm, straight leg sit-ups for 10. From there, side plank rotations, 10 per side, and then we've got our aerobic piece. 200 meters, 20 calories, 15 squat thrusts, whatever it is, have fun for 12 minutes and let us know how you got on.